Okay.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Be the Change podcast. I'm Ashley.
I'm Melissa.
And I feel like I should change my name. It's so formal, but I just noticed it whenever I hit record. So, anyways,
Yeah.
happy Friday. This is gonna be. We were just laughing about how this is gonna be a hot mess because between my lack of sleep and my brain is just not awake. So there's no telling how this is gonna go. This is gonna be a fun ride. Okay. With that being said, we'll just jump in.
Hello.
So thank you for everybody who has participated so far in our August challenge. I can't even believe it's already August. Like, I'm
I
still
know.
in shock about that. So technically, when you're watching this, we'll have a whole nother week, another 5 days that
Yeah.
you hopefully have completed. But today's podcast is really just going to focus on day 1 and day 2. So August 1st and 2nd. Yeah, today's okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Get it together, Brian. Let's go. Okay,
Come
so
on.
for day 1 and day 2, just kind of a quick recap. It talks about, Proverbs 31 verses 10 and 11, and it really picked out certain pieces like worth more than rubies, how women are worth more than rubies, and then
Mhm.
having a trustworthy heart. So that's kind of where we're going to camp out today, is those two, excuse me, those two topics. And I'm actually really excited about talking about this because as we were kind of reviewing what we were going to talk about, this is something I'm super passionate about with pouring into women. And we were just talking about, our value and things like that. So I'm really excited to dive in. Um,
Yes.
with that being said, I guess we'll just go for it. So
Yeah. Let's just
starting
jump
with
in.
starting with day 1, I'm going to start, just a heads up for everybody. I'm going to start talking, but I'm definitely going to give Melissa her time to talk for sure. Um, so with day 1, that's where we focused more on Proverbs 31 verse 10. And it specifically, if you go back and look at the graphic we had, it was talking about being worth more than rubies. So just to kind of recap, Proverbs 31 is about a wife specifically having noble character and different traits of this woman. And I know oftentimes in today's world, people will refer to Proverbs 31 as kind of like, I wish I could think of like a phrase. I've been in churches before where they just think like if you are mentioned with Proverbs 31, people have to think pretty highly of you. And I hate to like
Right.
say that because like I feel like we should be thinking so highly of like women in general because we live in such a tough time and
Mm.
everybody is just honestly just trying to survive. And I feel like I hear that all the time. It's like we're just in survival mode, whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom or you have kids or you don't have kids. Like it's just the world is just crazy nowadays. But I do hear often, Proverbs 31 is talked about a lot in churches. But it's just that when you're really trying to make somebody feel like they're doing the right thing, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if that came
Yes.
out right. But my goal with this, and I know like we've talked about this, but I want people to know that we all have pieces of the Proverbs 31 woman in us.
Hmm.
And even though we don't talk about it a lot, and oftentimes I've heard people read this and they're like, oh, that could never be me. And it's like, why not? Like, you do have some of those traits and some of those things. But what I'm really big on with today is we live in this world of social media where we keep watching all these other women and all these other honestly fake standards, worldly standards,
Right.
and we try and measure ourselves up to that, or we think we're less than because of what such and such is being shown on social media. And so I'm really hoping out of this, you and I can really bring truth and biblical truth to women and how valuable we are, what God has made us to be. I mean, it's just women are so incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
men are incredible too. God's creation's
Sure.
incredible, but
Sure.
I just feel like there's such a lack of how we should be approaching ourselves, how we should be talking about
Right.
ourselves, and just the love we should have for ourselves because of what God has given us.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I want to say with the rubies piece is how we are so priceless, just as women, as wives, the roles that we've been given by God. And we should know that this is priceless because God mentions multiple times in the Bible, like where he refers to the church as the bride. Like that is a very important phrase to him. He does not take it lightly. So women do hold a, piece of value when it comes to just biblical stance in general.
Yeah.
But I really just want to, I guess, harp on the fact that women, we do have this immeasurable thing about us where, I know people joke around a lot how women can handle so much, and our minds
Yeah.
and our personalities and our emotions are very, very different than a man's. And God made us that way on purpose. And so,
Mhm.
what I want women to think about during this time is not about us being perfect. It should never be about perfection with women, but we should just be thinking about our day-to-day actions. Like, are we showing integrity? Are we making wise choices? Are we being kind? That could be
Right.
kind to anybody, kind to our children. That's not saying gentle parenting. Everybody has their thought about that, but
Right.
just like kindness. Are we showing love and kindness? Are we showing our faith through, daily actions, what we're doing? Are we being diligent in our actions?
Right.
So I feel like all those things together, like integrity, wisdom, kindness, faith, and diligence, that's showing a godly character. And that's not going to be able to be measured in external ways. And I know a lot of people get into that comparison game, which I know we've talked about before. But really, when you're showing that true godly character, then it needs to be about like just really focusing on what would Jesus do? What did God make me to do? And kind of getting away from, well, she's doing this and I'm doing this. And just the comparison thing has just got to, and it's easier said than
Yeah.
done. But
Yeah.
I really do believe in that, and just showing those character items that God intended us to have as women. And now I'll be quiet for a minute and then I'll throw it your way. What do you got to say about that?
No, you're right on that. And a lot of what you said, and it's funny because I yesterday, I think it was, I wondered how I would be able to incorporate what I kind of discovered watching some YouTube videos.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm more, into the crime and, the she killed or whatever, shows. But lately I've been watching, well, the one show, it was, I mean, these beautiful women who are, YouTube creators and Instagram and all the things. And they're, living this grand life because they're making money doing it. And it's great. Um, but they're jealous. Like they've got men, boyfriends, husbands, whatever. But they're jealous. And it's like, why?
Mm-hmm.
Even you are jealous. Why? You're beautiful. And it struck me just away. And I wrote it down. Every woman suffers an insecurity of something. I've decided. They may, what you see may be confident or whatever, but they're struggling somewhere. And until we recognize that and fix it, because listen, I'm watching the crime shows, they're killing these people because of their own insecurities. What is that? That's what? No. But we struggle to see our worth. We struggle to say how valuable we really are. And I don't know where that comes from, always being told to sit down and hush and, don't stand out or don't toot your own horn or whatever it is. I say poo poo on that. Cheer for yourself. I did it. Absolutely. And cheer for your fellow lady, woman friend. You did it and truly mean it. Why are we not truly meaning it? Well, it's because we don't know our own value. Like, until we do, we're always going to be insecure about she's prettier, she's taller, she's dark headed, all the thing. And okay, but that's the outside. How about we let's change the inside? Because I think once you do that, the outside is just radiant.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's my opinion, I suppose. But I did write down because when I read that she's worth far more than rubies, I'm like, I'm a diamond sapphire kind of gal. Where are those? So I wanted to know why a ruby, right? And so I looked it up, let me be a student too. Um, and this is what I wrote down. So you'll have to excuse me. I'm just going to read it. Rubies are more precious than diamonds. They're very rare, the good quality ones anyway. They are vibrant and the second strongest gem after the diamond. And they use the ruby in biblical stories, because they didn't have the diamond, or I think that's what I read. It wasn't here yet. They didn't see it yet. I'm not sure.
Like that was
Um,
the most valuable thing
yeah,
during their time. Yeah.
yeah. Um, so I find my value through God's word. He transformed me on the inside. A virtuous woman is one who has been redeemed and is living for the Lord. She is rare and not easy to find, which is why he compares her to a ruby. Um, and then I wrote my list of 5 things, which I don't know. I guess I'll share them.
Share it, share it.
Oh my gosh, because I struggle. Like I
Mhm.
wrote some things, and I'm like, I can't, I can't say that. I can't believe, even now. Like, and I know, but it's still hard to say I'm a good person. I give people grace or whatever. Um, ugh.
Say it.
All
Say
right, you do something first.
Want me to do something?
I don't
Oh
know what, but
goodness.
oh my gosh, because yeah, my heart is racing. Oh wow.
Well, this is something that I have worked on before. I'll just kind of break the ice and then I'm gonna peer pressure you into saying yours.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
this is something that I have worked on because I used to be the person that was like you were talking about comparing and like when you see somebody else and it's like when you have straight hair, you wish you had curly hair. When you have curly hair, you wish you had straight hair and stuff like that. And I used to always like see moms driving a certain SUV. I'm like, why am I, why don't I have that kind of house or that kind of car? They just seem so happy. And then it was
Yeah.
brought to my attention, like you never know what's really going on behind closed
Right.
doors or in somebody's heart. And so, yes, it may be that they're living this wonderful, perfect life, but that's not for me to judge or for me to
Right.
compare myself to. And so I would walk around my house. I know this is very like trivial, but it really worked because, like we talked about before, mindset is a big thing. And I was like, I mean, anybody who's been to my house knows I have a small home in my downtown area. And I used to always complain like this is just a starter home, I just want to move, we don't have room here. And it was just negative,
Right.
negative, negative. Why can't I have this, why can't we have that? And then now like I've started walking through, and this is not, I feel like this is part of my worth because it is, it's my home, and essentially women
Yeah.
are homemakers. They're, that's part of who they are just naturally. And so I walk around my house and I specifically find things that I love, and I'll even like say it out loud. I'll be like, "Oh, I love how this is. I love how that, and so I try and change my mindset. So I've done the same thing with myself. Like oftentimes I don't even wear makeup, and I used to be like, "Ugh, I'm not wearing makeup, blah." But then now I'll look at myself in the mirror, and I think there's a difference in fixing yourself up. It's okay to fix yourself up. It's okay to love yourself in that way.
Right.
But it's like also not okay to criticize your looks when you're not wearing those things, because I feel like then you're criticizing God. Like God made you, He made you in His image. And so I mean, I understand people not liking certain features about themselves, but I've tried to get away from doing that to myself. I'm like, instead of being like, oh, I look so bad today. Ooh, I look like this. I try and tell myself, like, oh, I love my freckles. Oh, I love my dimples. I'm so glad God gave me those things because now I get to see them in my kids and I love them in my kids. And so I try and just like positive affirmation, to myself. And when I say those things out loud or just continuously remind myself of them, it really does make me feel better. And so I'm also an external person. I'm also like very like energetic, and I
Yeah.
just love conversation. And I used to think it was silly to talk to myself like that. And then I started doing it and I was like, it works. I may sound
Yep.
crazy standing in the bathroom being like, girl, you beautiful. But then I'm like,
That's
it works. It makes me feel good. And so
right.
I'm just like, I think that's what
Yeah.
God wants us to do, is to remind
Yeah.
myself, I have stretch marks because of this. I
Right.
have scars because I have this. And it's all just a story, and it's all got a part of God's plan and how he made
Right.
us. And
Yeah.
those are just some of the things that I really try and focus on with myself,
Yeah.
because I know God made me and put me through a story, and that he has me here for a reason. And so there's nothing wrong with me, essentially.
Right.
So
Right.
anyways, your turn.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Everything wrong with me, but he's making it all nothing wrong with me. That's exactly right. Um, and he can do a far better job than I ever could, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, um, yeah, I still don't want to say it.
Just pick one. Just be
Okay, I'll
vulnerable and
give
pick
you
one
one.
thing.
Okay, I'll give you one. Um, I'll give you two.
Okay.
Okay. I am compassionate. I am a healer, and I want to gently guide. I translate energy into clarity, and I connect the seen and the unseen. I have discernment. But I also feel like, coming from what you said, you like to talk and you're bubbly and you're vibrant. And I too wrote that down. Like I feel like I'm, once you get me started,
Yeah.
you can't get me stopped. Um, but I help people like feel alive and bring hope to whatever their situation is, because you know you bring me a situation to start with, and I'm by the end of that conversation you're going to see your situation different. Like, I promise you,
And I know that to be
I'm going to
true,
give
because
you a
you've done that
different
for me.
vision.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've done that for me. And even like this morning, when I was like, when I finally woke up, because I'm on that crazy feed the baby every 3 hours and
Right.
sleep when I can kind of thing. So when I woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, I realized what time it was and when we were going to do this. And then I texted you and I was like, oh, I just felt like frantic. I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, because I'm a very punctual person. I mean, I do have a
Right.
baby right now, so that's a life
My
change.
shirt.
Yeah. And but then you were like, just your text response was like, well, I'm ready and you got sleep. So you just immediately turned it around positive, and it just calmed me. It was like, you're right. Like, let's think positively about this. And so it's just, you have a gift for definitely bringing calm to the frantic crazy.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love it.
And I've been told that, although I'm learning nowadays, like, people weren't really being sarcastic all the years. Some of them really meant what they were saying.
Hmm.
I thought they were just digging, like, you know. But I'm learning a lot about who I am just by, like, with what you just said. Like, I would have, obviously you don't tell me, I don't know, but like, I feel like that's who I am. So it kind
Hmm.
of reinforces, yeah, that I think is who God made me to be. And I like that about
Hmm.
me. And why
I love
shouldn't
it.
I like that about me?
Yeah,
Right?
I agree.
But it's very hard to say out loud.
Well, because like what you and I were talking about earlier, we live in a world that's confusing. And so when we say we like things about ourselves, then we start to shell back, because we're like, um, are people going to think that I think too highly of myself, or that I'm, you know, just just all about me? And then it's like, I just think that's so wrong, because I feel like we should be able to feel proud of ourselves with things. And then I'm trying to remember the exact phrase, but I know, like, I said it to you, and I'm just gonna say it how it comes to my mind. But there's a difference in being cocky, essentially, and then knowing your self-worth and your value.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
feel like there used to be a time when people used to really focus in on gifts given from God and like what you are gifted in, what are your strengths, and let's find something for you to do based off of that strength because everybody has different strengths. And then now I feel
Right.
like people just don't talk about that as much. Um, I mean, they do in the corporate world. Like if you're going for a job and you have to tell your boss, like, hey, this is what I'm good at. But I don't feel like people are like how you just said, I feel like I'm good at this. And I don't feel like that's like a normal conversation because people start to be like, oh, I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want them to think I'm all about me, if that makes sense. So I just feel like that's something
Perfect.
we need to get back to. We don't have to sit around and just talk about ourselves all the time, but it's also okay
Right.
to be like,
Right.
I'm proud of this thing that I think God has given me and I feel good about it. I just feel like
Right.
this is my gift. Because I definitely agree with you. Like, I feel like that's one of your gifts is, bringing some of that stuff together and having insight and discernment and stuff like that. So I just feel like
Well,
that's
thank you. Thank you.
you're
Um,
welcome.
good.
All right.
So
So next part, day two.
next day two.
It broke down the next verse, which was a verse 11, and talked
Hmm.
about having a trustworthy heart. And let's see, trying to make sure I have like all my notes up, but I really wanted to talk about. Okay, I was like, I definitely want to say something about husbands, but then I was like, where did it? Okay, so
Mm,
anyways, this is my crazy brain going bouncing all over the place like a ping pong machine. So,
I love it, by the way.
oh,
It
thank you.
shows me your humanness.
So, okay, let me see if I can get this together. Get it together, brain. Trustworthiness. I feel like this is something, it is very rare. And especially like in a world where we have broken promises, we have surface level commitments. Um, I just feel like I have recently been around people where secrets aren't a thing. And we just kind of gotten to a point where everything's out in the open. Again, I'm going to blame social media a lot on this, is because, like, okay, so here's an example of social media stuff. I recently had a baby. I do social media content, but I focus my content more on nutrition, health and wellness, things like that. And, as somebody who creates content, I'm always thinking, well, what's something else I could be like? What's the trend? What could I be doing to kind of
Right.
reach more people? Well, when I was pregnant, my algorithm gets with all the pregnancy stuff, all the birthing stuff. So I go to give birth. I'm not the kind of person to, first of all, I'm already bad at videoing. I have to specifically think, like, when am I going to video something? How am I going? I have to think through stuff. I'm not just one of
Yep.
these content people that's walking around my phone, like, capturing every moment.
Right.
But I kept getting in my algorithm these women who were vlogging their birthing experience, and not just like the giving the birth, but like the getting out of bed, going to the restroom for the first time, all that kind of stuff. And Austin saw it one day and he was like, they just let everything out in the open, don't they? Like they just show it all. And I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, I don't know if I could do that. I mean, if that's what they feel like they need to share, because I do feel like there's a lack of education as far as what
Right.
actually happens with stuff. I just, for myself, I'm like, I couldn't show myself getting up out of the bed in my hospital undies, like that's just not me. I just don't show that like that's to me like really personal. Like there's like personal stuff you can
Right.
show and then that like whew. But I do feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of the world we've gotten into, is there's not really any secrets or
There's no filters.
that
There's
filters is a
filters where
better
there
word.
doesn't need to be filters, and then the
Yes.
filters that are not that should be.
Yes. Filter is definitely a better
Yeah.
word. I don't really want to say the
Yeah.
word secrets, but like there's
Right.
definitely some
Right.
things in our lives that, in my opinion, should be a little bit
Yeah.
more private, and then
Right.
things that, are okay to tell other people.
Yes.
And so I just feel like having that trustworthiness and that filter system has kind of gone away in today's world. It's a
Right.
it's a very rare thing to have. But with that being said, I do kind of want to talk about, since this verse, or like since these passages kind of intertwine, well, not kind of, they do intertwine with, having a husband, being a wife. And so with a trustworthy heart, like I feel like there has been a misconception with marriages nowadays. I mean, there's a huge rate of divorce. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's not blind nobody should be blind to the fact that there is a lot going on with marriages.
Right.
Um, But I feel like when it comes to having a trustworthy heart, this is really big with a husband because, like, as somebody who's new to the world of stay-at-home momhood, um,
Right.
I have to make decisions because this is part of, like what we were just talking about a second ago is, believing in yourself. I have fallen into the trap, which I'm not here now, thank goodness. But I have had the thoughts of I'm not contributing to my family, I'm not bringing in anything
Oh,
financially, this, that, the other. And then like my husband keeps telling me, stop thinking like that. Like he has not said anything to make me think I'm not contributing. It's just where my mind goes, is I'm thinking less of
right.
myself. I'm not doing
Right.
these things. But he's like, you're keeping the house together, you're watching the kids, you're doing all of these things. So it's very encouraging to hear that. I just have to get my mind with the reality.
Yes.
And so being trustworthy to one's husband, I feel like goes so deep with like your money, your daily decisions, but past that, also like being trustworthy to your husband. So like his heart, his dreams, his vulnerabilities. I'm a big believer that men are just as emotional as women. They just show it
Oh, yeah.
differently. And so they can be just as dramatic, just as petty, all the things. But
All the things.
I feel like it is important for us to like I don't want to say cater, but to foster that. Like, I feel like a lot of
Yes.
times women get into this manipulative, emotional pool. And so they know how to emotionally fight. There will be, if you know your husband's vulnerability, sometimes we attack that. And it's like the nagging or tearing him down or making him feel like less than a man. And it's, in
Right.
my opinion, I feel like part of that trustworthiness is understanding I am not my husband and my husband is not me. He thinks
Right.
this way, I think this way. We bring two separate, completely separate things to our household, and I need to respect and cherish that. And you
Yeah.
have to kind of learn how to like communicate with your husband. If you're unhappy with something or something he is or isn't doing, we can find ways to communicate that is still emotionally building him up and not tearing him down. And then just showing that respect, not gossiping about our husbands, but continuously building them up because, again, they're very different than us. They think differently, their emotions are wired differently. So, yes, I feel like trustworthiness in life is very rare and vulnerability when it comes to just friendships and people in general. But I also feel like that trustworthiness and that relationship within a household and like your husband
Mm.
and building him up and just loving and respecting him has also gone by the wayside just because of again social media and the world we live in. So I just feel like that's what I thought of whenever I was reading having a trustworthy heart, the heart of her husband, things like that.
Hmm. Yeah, and I agree with that. I think for far too long, we as a society have beat down the man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat that any other way. Like using the children to get back at the daddy. Now this is an unmarried. Well, sometimes it's not. Sometimes these folks are married too.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going through divorce because we didn't learn to come together and fix what we had. We just decided to, you know, whatever, take it too lightly. I don't know. Anyways, it happens, different reasons. But far too often you see the tug of war, if there's children involved anyway. Um, and it's, we don't need a man. We don't need to have a daddy. Okay, maybe you don't, but the child does. I don't know. It really bothers me. And I think that, I don't know. I have a lot of thoughts on the man part of it. You're right. They have all the emotions that we have, only theirs looks different. And 100% right. But we have to, as women, we have to know how to handle that, like how to foster that, how to,
Mm-hmm.
bring that safety net, if you will, for them to land on. I don't know. Um, and I think sometimes we're wrapped up in what we're doing that we feel like they're grown so they can handle them,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. Um, but I find that's not always the case. Sometimes they don't know how to handle that either. And, we do need to be able to say, hey, what's up, what's going on, whatever. And sometimes you just got to wait, especially if, it's somebody who doesn't like to share feelings, because it's scary to be
To open
vulnerable
up. Yeah.
vulnerable with somebody. I don't have a problem with it. I'm good. I'll just tell you. But that's just who I am.
Right.
I'm trying to learn how to hold back and not say everything because, not everybody needs to know everything, I guess. But I don't have a problem doing that. I do tend to be reluctant when I want to say, something you've done bothered me, because I don't want to make anybody feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not going to get walked on either. So that's a thing you got to learn how to deal with. Um, I don't know.
I'm trying. So, what was the challenge? One of the things that you did say. So, I do feel like we live in a world where the men are essentially, excuse my language, men are being crapped on. Like, honestly, that's
Yeah.
how I feel about it. And we live in a world where it's about everybody else's rights, and then people want to act like because for so many years men were this high and mighty up on the pedestal. Well, first of all, God created it like the household a certain way, and the way I see it, I was raised. My father taught me to find. When I find a husband, he should be my provider, my protector, and my priest, and he should be leading my household. And that's exactly what I
Right.
found in a husband. And I did go through a time when we fought a lot in our marriage. It was because I was listening to the way of the world and this whole feminism, which I've never been a huge fan of feminism. Sorry if that makes anybody upset. I believe
Yeah.
everybody has a role and everybody has a right in their home, and it's very, very different for everybody,
Yes.
kids included. We all have different pieces to bring in. And so, but I did fall into the trap of, well, I'm gonna be assertive. I'm gonna tell you how I feel, and that caused a lot of tension and a lot of anger in my household. And
Yeah.
when I learned, I don't want to say found out, when I learned and the biblical truth of men versus women, not versus because we work together, but like how a man
Yeah.
is, how a woman is, and how
Yeah.
they come together, and we bring two totally different things. And as a woman, I feel like a lot of times I hear where women don't want to do such and such and such for their husband because they're giving to their kids all day. And I honestly,
Hmm.
this is just me being frank, I feel like that's wrong. Yes,
It
we are
is.
here to mother our children. We're here to raise our children up and to teach them the way of the world. But ultimately, when you said I do, you chose a life partner, someone to go through all of those things with, to have children with, and to raise them up with. And so if you
Yeah.
can't partner with the one person that you chose to do that with, then it's like your
Right.
children should not come above your spouse. Your spouse
Right.
is your person. When you're feeling frustrated, like they should be like my husband and I, we've gotten to the point where we are like BFFs, like we feel comfortable
Right.
enough to go into another room and be like, my child is frustrating me. What are we going to do about it? And we're like, we're like two little catty teenagers. We're like, oh, what are we going to do? And we just get to go in. And because we're partnering together to solve something in our lives together. And I feel like the
Yeah.
partnership and the bringing the household together has really just been because I'm just gonna be honest. I hear so many women, and I watch so many videos where women are complaining about their husbands because he just wants to touch me at the end of the day after I've been around the kids all day. Well, then, ma'am, you're doing a little too much for your kids if that's how you're feeling that you can't love on your husband a little bit at the end of the day. That's just how I feel about
Right.
it. Like
Right.
your
Right.
husband, he's been working all day, so when he sees you, he's like, "Ooh, look at that hot mama! I just want to love her,
Right.
give her a kiss."
Right.
And then you're
Right.
like, "Don't touch me! I've been touched all day by the kid." Like, no, ma'am, we gotta figure something
Right.
out, okay?
Right. Right.
If you're not also wanting to love on your husband, like, okay,
Yeah. Why
let's
not?
talk through
Yeah.
this. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways, so our action for day 2 is choose one way to build trust today. Keep a promise or show up on time. And then I feel like, this could be any area of your life. I know I kind of harped on, husbands and wives there for a minute. But even with your kids, and I just feel like in a
Hmm.
world where there are so many broken promises and trustworthiness is kind of, gone by the wayside, we can do simple things. Like if you tell your kids something, follow through with that, be trustworthy. Don't be the kind of person where your kid's like, you're probably not going to do it anyways because, you never
Right.
keep your word. So just work on being trustworthy or choose just one person or one thing and just be intentional. If it is your husband and just trying to, support him or ask him about his day or just making time for him, then,
Yeah.
do that. If it's your kids where you're like, sometimes you threaten, if you don't do this, I'm going to take this away. And then you never do the thing. Like, try and be
Right.
trustworthy in that way and follow through. Kids
Follow
thrive
through.
on
Right.
discipline.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Good point. Yeah. I like
yeah.
that.
Sorry, that
Hmm.
was my tired rant for the
Yeah.
day.
No, you're right. Yeah. Because when I read that, it's like I don't go to the discipline part. I go to you know, the good part where you're, you know, hey, let's go shopping, or let me do this for you, and you actually do it for, like that's where I go. So I
Yeah.
didn't never gave it a thought of, well, telling my kids that I'm going to take that away if they don't knock it off, and actually following through with it would be. So I like that. Pretty good. Maybe I should try that. No.
Well,
Um
that's all I think a lot about kids, as someone who
yeah.
taught, and then I
Well,
have
the only one I have to do that with now is Ansley, and
yeah,
I'm sorry, but
she's
I'm
perfect.
just
Like, you don't have to,
I'm just not gonna do it.
yeah.
Now, I did tell her that if she didn't be a little nicer to me, she wasn't gonna be able to come back and play. She looked at me and I was like, "Yeah, I'm
It's
just
like, I don't
kidding.
believe
Can
that.
we just please get along?" Anyway, um, I wrote down for that one. I am choosing to build trust with people who have said yes to this challenge, by showing up, getting out of my comfort zone, posting videos, maybe going live finally, after all these years of like, I'm just not going to do it, that stubbornness. Um, and being on time, because can you see my shirt? Probably late for
Probably late for
something.
something.
Because but all like this was my challenge for myself. Like, this used to be, oh, let me just wear my shirt, people will understand. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to put this shirt in the bottom of the drawer and stop wearing it. Like, I really want to finally, so I'm gonna try and do this more often than just, today or for a week or whatever. But I'm learning though, and this has only been a short time that we've been doing this,
Hmm.
because we're only on the second. But I feel like when I show up for others, I'm really showing up for myself.
Hmm.
So, like, not only am I promising to do it for everybody else, but I'm promising to do it for me. Like, because there's so many ways that I need to grow, because the comfort zone gets really, really nice. And I like to cocoon myself right up in there, and wait until the springtime to come out and fly,
Yeah.
and I'm going to try to wait till next spring, right? No, no, let's come out now and just do it. Like, actually live life out loud. Everybody can hear you're here anyway. You may as well let them see you. I don't know. Like, that's just for me. um, but no, like, for so long I've been too emotional or take it too personal or what, and all that just kind of makes you feel like, okay, let me go hide so that I'm not too much for everybody. Um, I guess I'm too much for everybody, and I don't know, sometimes maybe that's a good thing and sometimes it's not a good thing. And well, if I don't see them again, I know which one they chose, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Life's too short anymore,
I
I
agree.
understand you don't want to stay, don't stay. You want to stay, stay. Love to have you. But I get it. So, no hard feelings either way, right? Um, so yeah, I'm just gonna start showing up.
I love that. So I know we
Well, I
have
don't.
the
I'm scared.
I no, listen, I don't, I know I say I love that, but you've been around me in different scenarios. I feel like I can talk when it comes to this. I can give presentations. I mean, that's the teacher side of me. I can get up, I can talk. But if you just
Right.
like put me in a room of a social situation, I get nervous, I get timid, I don't want to talk. I'm very quick to be the one like I'm a people watcher. I want to
Yeah.
watch and observe. So like if I walk into a room, I go to social events. I will show up. That's the extrovertedness in me. You know, like I want to be around people. But when it
Right.
comes to like group conversations, I will not be the one to assert and start talking. I'm the one who like will wait for somebody to ask me a question because I want to watch and see what everybody else is saying. And then I'm like, okay, and then I'll start talking. But I'm
Yep.
like I really got to get warmed up, and I kind of have like that little bit of social anxiety. So I got to
Yeah.
work on. I do strive and aspire to be this version of me, just the talking like very confident all the time.
Right.
Like I wish I could just walk into a room and just like, hey, I'm Ashley. Who are you? And like I just
Oh
get
no.
nervous. I think
Woo.
too much in my head. I'm like, what are they going to think of me? Like, and I feel like I need to get out of that mindset of
Yeah.
just be myself. Just go in
Yeah.
and just be happy to talk to people and meet people. That's what I love about
Right.
everything that I do. I get to meet people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just feel like that's
That
just
gave me
something
a panic attack, right?
I know. It makes me nervous too. I'm
Woo.
like, oh, people.
Lord, no, don't go in the room and hey, no,
Yeah.
woo,
So,
no.
well,
You'll still find me in the corner, but I'll be waving from the
yeah,
corner. I'm not gonna be out in the middle of the floor. No way,
I
no
get
way,
that.
no
I get
way.
that for sure. Well, thank you for everybody who watched for today, and I hope y'all found some insight in some of the
Yes,
words that we said about these verses. So our next podcast, we're going to break down the next however many days between the podcast, but kind of the same thing. So I really hope y'all found this valuable. If you did, please comment, let us know what you thought. And then like
yes.
we said last time, like and subscribe.
That's right. That's
Share
right.
the
We're gonna
video if it
stop.
made you think of
Yeah,
anybody.
please.
And then
Yes.
yes, and please for the whole month of August, I mean, I know people are commenting done on our post, but we would love to if people want to be a little vulnerable and answer the questions in the comments as well. I think that would be fun. But done
That would
is
be
also,
great.
yeah, done works as well. Just to know that we're all thinking the same thoughts on during a quiet time reflection. And
Yes.
it means a lot to me whenever I get on there and I see however many people commented done, and I'm like, it just makes me
Wow.
excited because I'm like,
I know.
we're really doing this. Like we're thinking
Yes.
through and we're really studying this and asking ourselves these questions. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for everybody who's participating. And
Yes. Thank you. I'm grateful.
I
Grateful.
hope y'all
Mhm.
enjoy and keep going all through the month
Yes.
of August and
We
stay
can do it. We
consistent.
can do it.
We need to have like a little cheerleader on the screen. Yeah. Go team, go.
Don't get
Okay.
me started. No, that's the
Get
last thing we need is Melissa in the yard doing some backflips.
get some pom poms out. Start
Yeah.
shaking pom
Get the
poms.
ambulance first.
Oh yes. When I wake up with my ankle joints hurting, I know I can't be doing no cartwheel without me. I'm getting too old for these things.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Oh
Okay.
goodness. All right. Well, thank you
Um,
again, everybody, and we will
thank
see
you.
y'all on our next episode.
Next time. Yeah.